Hi, my name is Ashanti Jamosin, and this is my podcast, Destroying Your World. So, your world is cultivated by your perception of the environment around you, and we get this information via our five senses, which is touch, taste, sight, sound, and last but not least, smell. So the way we gather our information is based off of our five senses, but also it goes way deeper than that. So how we internalize information is based off of our culture, our relationships, and aspects that we presume is our identity. With that, in this podcast, I want to explore different themes and topics in our society and analyze them as isolated from ourselves. So basically, I am creating this podcast so that we can together explore different ideas and think about why and how we think the way that we do. Once we figure out how and why we think the way that we do, then we get to explore which ideas or which ways of thinking work best for us or for you, the new ruler of your world. So these episodes will be hosted by me, but we are also working in collaborations with others, professionals who can speak or attest, or people who have life experiences that can speak or attest to the notions that I have coming up in each episode. So my name is Ashanti. I am Dominican. I am from South Florida, though I have family in New York, Big BX. So my identity has heavily been shaped by my culture, being Hispanic, growing up in very densely Caribbean populated places. A lot of the ideals that I subscribed myself to for a long time did not suit me, and I would feel very conflicted because they seemed to be working for everybody else around me, but they weren't working for me. So what I did was kind of isolate myself from the world, which is why this podcast is called Destroying Your World. It's not because I want you to think the way that I think, or because I want you to throw away all of your ideals, because whatever. That's not the case at all. What I want is for you to be able to see that there are ideologies out there, there are beliefs, there are narratives, there are different perspectives out there, right? So for you to explore them and figure out which one works best for you according to your life goals and your life plan. Me personally, my top value is love. So my top value is love. So what I do is try to cultivate healthy, happy relationships with everybody that I meet, because this is something that I've placed very, very high value on. But as soon as I understood that, I was able to make shifts in my life to move accordingly towards that. Once you figure out what you really value, what are the things where if you didn't have them, if you didn't believe this, if I wasn't this, who would I be? Once you figure out that, then I feel like you'll be able to pick perspectives, pick narratives, pick ways of life that are in alignment with those values of yours. So like I said, for me, my top value is love. So what that means to me is being a compassionate person, being a friendly person, going out of my way to do good things for good people, or for all people, for most people. I'm gonna be real. For most people, so that they feel love, right? I want to do this because this is what I do on my free time. The reason why I'm starting this podcast is because I genuinely am a very curious person about the world, about myself, and I feel as though the best way to get the most out of life is to look intrinsically and find peace within yourself. And I feel as though to find peace within yourself, you need to understand yourself. So essentially, this podcast will be a gateway into you understanding you in whatever way that you see fit. You can find me at Destroying Your World on Instagram, or at DYW Podcast on Twitter. This podcast will be on Apple Podcasts, will be on Spotify and YouTube. Like, share, subscribe. please add any topics that you feel like need attention. I will try my best to execute them the best way I can. So please leave your suggestions for topics in the comment sections. Feel free to leave them on Twitter. Feel free to leave them on Instagram. #DYW Podcast.